Hi, this is Sandra from Greyd, and today I'd like to introduce you to Greyd.Popups and show you how easily you can create individual pop-ups in Greyd.Suite. You'll find Greyd.Popups here on the left in our menu, and we'll then see an overview first of all existing pop-ups, including information on the triggers, where the pop-up appear, if there are any rules defined, priority, creation date, etc. When you click on Create New Pop-up, our wizard will open where you can enter the name of your pop-up, and you can either start from scratch or you can also work with a copy of an existing template, or you can work with one of our presets that already have some content and settings prepared so that you don't have to start from scratch. Let's now have a look at the pop-up that I've prepared beforehand. So in terms of the content for your pop-up, you can work with the blog editor and work with any core or Greyd.Suite blogs as usual. And there's one additional block that you'll find, which is the closed pop-up block that will add this little X icon to close a pop-up that you can then define in colors and sizes individually. Alternatively, you could of course also work with a regular Greyd button and select the trigger close pop-up, which is more or less the same. So much on the content of your pop-up. Let's now have a look at the general pop-up settings here on the right. Here in the layout, you can easily define the position and size of your pop-up, width and height, custom, automatic, or just 100%, like that. Let's do it custom. You can also work with paddings and margins, and you can also have individual settings for your mobile pop-up as well. Then here in the design, you can define the colors for the text, headlines, the background. You can work with a hover effect if you want to. You can make your pop-up round with the border radius. You can add a border and or a drop shadow if you want to. And last but not least, here in the extended, you can, let's switch back to desktop layout. So here in the extended, you can define what should happen to your page in the background when a pop-up is opened. You can activate or disable a page overlay that you can then define, for example, in color, different opacity. You can work with different effects, blur, brightness, for example, and define that individually here. And you can also define whether the pop-up should close when somebody clicks on the page overlay. You can disable scrolling on the page while the pop-up is active. And here you can define how your pop-up should appear. We have different animations, both for the body and the pop-up itself. And you can also always have a preview. And down here you can define what should happen if your content doesn't fit into your pop-up. You can make it scrollable or define if the additional content should be visible or not. So much for these settings. Let's now move on down here, where it is about when, how, and to whom your pop-up should be visible. At first, it's about the triggers. You can define one or also several triggers. For example, you could activate the pop-up after X seconds on a page, or after someone has scrolled to a certain amount of your page. After some seconds of inactivity, you could have an exit intent pop-up, or you can also, of course, always have a button as a trigger. I've shown you how to use a button to close a pop-up. Of course, you can also select the trigger pop-up and then select. I can't open the pop-up newsletter in my newsletter pop-up here, so you could select on your page between your pop-ups here. Okay, so next is about where should your pop-up appear. You can select normal, regular pages, some special pages like the 404 or search page, for example, post pages. If you have any custom post types, you can also define custom post pages here. And you can either show or hide pop-ups entirely, or you could also select some posts individually here. If you want to, you can additionally set certain rules, one or several, that have to be met for your pop-up to be open. For example, you could define that at least 3 pages have to be visited before your pop-up to be activated. Or you could make your pop-up dependent from an URL parameter and include it, for example, in a certain marketing campaign, or show it only to visitors who come from a special newsletter or something like that. You could also define that a certain page would need to be visited beforehand. With user role dependency, you can make your pop-up only visible to certain users, or you could also make it dependent from a time, device, and or the browser used by the user. And down here you will find some additional settings. First is the priority. You can select a number between 1 and 10, and higher prioritized pop-ups will always be visible above the other pop-ups. And with this option here, you could also define that all pop-ups with a lower priority will be closed as soon as one with a higher priority is opened. This option here is actually quite handy. It sets a hashtag in the URL when the pop-up is opened, which makes it much better to analyze your website activities, for example, in analytics tools like Google Analytics. So if you now open this page and make an exit intent, a pop-up opens, and as you can see here, this part was added to my web URL. And the last option here is to make sure that a pop-up is only showed once, even if the conditions for the pop-up are met several times while a user's visit on your website, to prevent someone from seeing the same pop-up over and over again. So much on Greyd.Popups. As you've seen, there are abundant possibilities, lots of design and admin features, while it is still very easy to create very individual custom pop-ups. For more videos and information, please visit our Help Center.